All right. So we're starting our very first marriage moment podcast.
Yep. I'm super excited. I think that over the last 12 years, well, we've been together 15 years.
Wow.
But we've been married 12 because we had an extensive dating time, which we're going to talk about on one of these podcasts at some point.
I don't suggest anyone try that. You know, we dated for, I know to the T, 2 years and 9 months.
And I, on the other hand, think that was time well invested. So, you know,
I think you're right. Well, we want to talk about topics. We want to really maximize our time and, you know, definitely honor your time as well. So today, I don't know if we want to call it a topic or do we want to say, you know, the bottom line of what we want to talk about. But if it was something that we would like name it, if it was a sermon or something, what would you call it?
If it was a sermon. Okay, Pastor.
Yeah, well, you know,
comfortably uncomfortable.
Comfortably uncomfortable.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, because that's probably marriage in a nutshell, really, if you ask me, because it's really essentially a bunch of, like a series of uncomfortable things, and then you learn to be comfortable in it. Because for me, I've seen it as a growth tool, you know, my development as a woman and as just a human being.
Okay, but before we get into that, does comfortability really matter in a Christian marriage? Talking about in a Christian marriage, does comfortability even matter?
For me, I think that's kind of a two sides of the same coin type of question, right?
What do you mean by that?
Meaning that, of course, you want to be comfortable with the person that you're choosing to spend the rest of your life with.
Okay.
In the sense that it is a safe space with that person. You don't feel threatened, that type of stuff.
Okay.
Physically, that is, because sometimes you kind of sometimes do feel threatened.
Sure.
But
other side of the coin.
Other side of the coin is, as Christians, ultimately, the call is to die to self.
Ooh, and why would you bring that up so early in the podcast? We want people to follow. We want people to subscribe. We want people to share.
True.
And that is not a popular topic. So go ahead.
Yeah.
It's dying to self.
It's dying to self. And really, marriage is a picture, right, as we know, of Christ in the church. And so he ultimately died, right?
Well, but do people even look at it that way in marriage? I mean, let's just say culturally, do people say, oh, my marriage is Christ in the church? Now, I know that on the biblical.
Culturally.
Yeah, well, both biblically, even a lot of people that may come in the church, people may come, you know, and say, I do, with their counterpart. Do you really think they're thinking about, I'm coming to die? I'm coming to whoopee.
Lord, no.
You know?
Most of them are just thinking about that wedding. But, you know, ultimately that's the call, right? And I think the operative word is Christian, because you want a Christian marriage, not just a financial agreement or a business agreement or a convenient agreement or a sex agreement. You don't want a friend with benefits. You want a Christian marriage.
And I'm glad you said that, because one day I want to talk about covenant versus contract, because it sounds like you're saying people often get into contracts with people.
Oh, yeah.
But it may not be a covenant before the Lord.
And I don't even think they consciously know that, you know. Okay. I think a lot of times, you know, like for me, I had a Christian marriage modeled for me. And so I did want a Christian marriage. I didn't know how much work it would take to maintain that.
Talk about that. Okay, so you said you didn't know how much it would take. So let's make this personal. Does comfortability matter to you in your Christian marriage? And did it, like, from the beginning, did you actually think, I'm coming into this marriage to die? Did you come into?
Why you change your voice? That was weird.
I don't know. No. You know, I'm a little weird.
You're so dramatic. He says I'm dramatic, but low key.
No, well, hold on. Well, she wanted to actually like
total drama. I'm from San Antonio, so poodle drama.
Well, let me tell you, she wanted to open up this podcast by saying everything in sync and together because every moment matters. I'm like, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. So that's dramatic to me. But what I'm saying is,
you literally changed your voice.
Okay, well, I think you're avoiding the question.
Okay, what was the question?
There we go. Okay, so does comfortability matter to you in marriage? And did you come into marriage? Because there may be some young couples out there that may be married, 2 years, 5 years.
Or thinking about getting married.
Mm-hmm. So did you come through the door saying, I'm coming to die and I'm coming to be uncomfortable?
No. The short answer is no.
Okay.
I mean, I think that every woman comes, well, I can't speak for every woman. I'll speak for myself.
Okay.
No, I did not. I did not come with that mindset. Again, I wasn't fully aware of how much work it was taking because my mom kind of made it look effortless. She's a really good wife, a really good mother. And I don't know why, but I thought I could just, like you see people do stuff and you're like, I could do that, Yeah. And so you just kind of think you can do it. I didn't realize what it meant and what it would cost me, but and it's all been very good for me. My personal growth, I tell you all the time, there's so many things about the work that we do and just
the work that we do
in our marriage and just what God has called us to do as a couple.
Okay.
We have a recovery home and church and all that. And just in that alone, the things that you've taught me that I did not know that I did not know, so.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know.
Right. And so, no, I did not. I felt like I was a pretty good person. I felt like I wasn't selfish.
Well, you are a good person.
Well, I'm saying like to the extent that dying to self, I don't know if I thought it may not be as required. I don't know what I thought, but I certainly did not know that it would be as intense as it has gotten. Just to be honest.
When you say intense, let's make sure that that's clarified because just marriage is intense, I would say, from a personal standpoint, just to answer the question that I asked. Yeah. I guess I'm asking the question to myself as well.
Yeah. What was the question again?
Well, the question was how much did you know about the sacrifice or did you know you were going to have to die to self or did comfortability really matter to you on a personal note? I don't think comfortability mattered, but I just didn't know how much discomfort was going to take place in me becoming the man that I needed to be for God and obviously for you as well, to be, a godly husband. So no, I never even thought that it was that much sacrifice.
Because that too becoming real, becoming one thing is real. Like it gets real really quick, you know? And so that, it's true. I mean, I just didn't expect it to.
And then that's where I think a lot of young couples, they just ready to quit. They're ready to get thrown in the towel. They're ready to say, hey, you know what? This is not for me. I thought I was going to be happy. And it's like, well, the call is not necessarily happiness.
Yeah.
The call is holiness.
That part.
God is challenging us to grow and develop. And so how do you handle being uncomfortable in marriage when you love the other person? Like, how do you deal with that? You're laying in bed next to a person that you genuinely, passionately love, and this person ruffles your feathers, and it does rustle some things up in you, I guess, if I could say that.
That's a good save.
Well, Elena always says I don't say words right, and I think that, because she was an educator, and she is still in the biblical terms, she's always correcting my grammar.
Biblical sense.
Yeah. See, there you go. Right.
No,
there.
I'm just kidding.
But what did you do? I mean, because think about it, how do you handle being uncomfortable with a person that you're laying next to and you love passionately, and they don't intentionally cause discomfort, but we're talking about comfortably being uncomfortable. How do you handle that in our marriage?
Well, I honestly
definitely want to be honest.
I go back to the fact that, okay, first of all, we love each other.
Okay.
So I'm not going to feel threatened, I had to learn that because early on, I always felt like you're pushing me in a corner. Like you want me to come out with, bad words.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, I felt like.
Round one.
Yeah, I felt like, okay, you calling me to the square. Okay, keep up. All right,
Sound like you're threatening me.
Right. I mean,
sorry.
but you know what I mean? Like early on, it was really hard But so what I learned to do was, I'm a Christian, so I prayed and I was like, Lord, I married this man because I love him and I knew what we were going to do in life. And I felt like everything was on the table between us because we did date for a considerable amount of time. So what I do is I go to God and I ask him to help me to see why this is happening in my life. Like, what does he want me to learn out of this?
Right.
What
does God want to teach me, or what is it that I'm supposed to learn in this discomfort?
Yeah.
That is a nugget. Go ahead.
So that's how I normally handle it. That's what I learned to do. I'd say about 2 or 3 years into our marriage, and then that's.
What about the first 2 years?
Oh my God, that first 2 years was like.
Woo, if we had a camera,
it was like Armageddon. Like it was. Hey, it was tough.
It would have been amazing if we would have recorded all that and like had like a real marriage in.
Oh my God, I'm glad
the island household or whatever.
Yeah, I'm glad that recording stuff wasn't a thing back then because,
no, that would have been cool because what we want to do in this podcast. And as you listen to us and follow us, we want to just present marriage in its rawest form as Christians. And we're calling it Marriage Moments because every moment matters. I told you, she wanted. No, it really is. She wanted to do that. I'm telling you,
And I did, and we pulled it off.
No, we didn't. We didn't. That was horrible.
I feel like it was great.
Yeah, it was good for you, but it was horrible for me. But hopefully y'all understand what I'm saying. Every moment matters. Like even the argument, even the discomfort, even the, the discord, even, the conflict. It all matters.
It all matters. And honestly,
every moment
it's all
matters.
a part of your journey. Yes. And I think that what we need to do in the church is normalize the fact that these things are going to happen. You're going to be uncomfortable. You're going to argue. You're going to not see everything eye to eye. Even though you love this person, they love you. That's not the question. The question is, how much are you going to put effort into this two becoming one?
And not only just in the church, just in general, because in the church, I know what you mean. I'm not for sure if everyone, our followers understand. In the church, meaning is people as Christians, not like in the building, like people that are saved, people that love the Lord, people that have repented of their sins and accepted Jesus Christ. Now you're the church. So she's saying, as Christians, we need to, get our minds wrapped around that we're going to be discomforted. We're going to be uncomfortable.
Right.
But we need to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Is that what you're saying?
When Christ is in it, it's going to achieve his purpose, as long as you continue to yield to what he's trying to teach you in it,
Yeah.
And so there's always a lesson in that. But before we wrap this thing up, let me ask you, why isn't this a popular conversation? Like, why don't people talk more about, hey, you're going to argue. Hey, it's going to be uncomfortable. There is no happily ever after situation. You got to work this thing out,
I believe that it's not popular because I heard one of my virtual mentors, Craig Groeschel, he has a leadership podcast, and he says that mankind has an unlimited supply of deception.
Of self-deception, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. That we deceive ourselves into believing that we're going to accomplish something great without any discord. Without any conflict. We just really think we're going to be that podcast sensation, that YouTube sensation, that whatever, that we're going to start up that business without no conflict. We're going to
picture perfect marriage like on Instagram.
I'm going to have the Hallmark family, and it's not going to be any problem. My kid is going to have straight A's and never have problems. Now, in a perfect world, those things take place, but obviously we don't live in a perfect world. For real. Why this isn't a popular conversation? Because sometimes we like to sweep things under the rug and not really be in a true reality. And, but I love that we're getting to a place, humanity, where we're understanding humans. We are saying, you know what, I'm ready to rumble.
Yeah.
So to
and
speak.
It's okay.
I'm ready to rumble. And me and Elena have rumbled a lot.
Yeah.
And when I say rumble, I say it like this, like we've had a lot of disagreements. Our perspectives have clashed.
Yeah.
We don't see things eye to eye all the time. And I love it. And the reason why I love it is because I have a wife that has a stance. She stands for something. She actually lives by certain principles and guidelines and direction. And when you put two people together, yes, we have a belief that is like in sync, but that don't mean that our perspective is always going to be the same. And I think that what's happening is we're in this culture where if you disagree with me, we're enemies.
Oh, yeah.
And so you're going to have disagreements in marriage. And I think that that's why this is not popular, because people's like, oh, everything's going good. And we went on our vacation. And, you know, we had our first child. And, oh, he got his first raise. And I just started my startup business. And, oh, it's going great. But what about when it's not going
What about when it's not going
I want you to go live when you're arguing.
Yeah, okay. Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? I want you to go live and say, hey, you know what? This is not going right. To show the world that it's not all pretty. And I think that maybe possibly that some people have bought into this ideology that, you know, everything's all peaches and cream.
Yeah.
And I don't know. What's your thoughts? I mean, why it's not a popular conversation?
I think it's not popular because, again, people are not completely sold out to the fact that I'm supposed to be dying to self in order for this new union to grow and flourish.
Okay, for the people that may not really totally understand what that means, die to self, can you break that down? Because I mean, some people may not even be on that
mindset. I basically, dying to self is yielding your stance, sometimes your way of doing things, your mindset about a topic, to be open to see, okay, what do you bring to the table about that? You know, well, how do you see the situation? You know, how being respectful of your spouse to say, I'm not always right. Like, I can digress so that you can voice what you want to say, and then taking both of those opinions and mindsets and then forming a conclusion of what we're going to do as a family. And I think a lot of times people knowingly or unknowingly come to the table with it's a my way or the highway mindset. And you may not be conscious of that. You may not even call it that, but that's what's going on.
And usually when you've lived single for an extended period of time.
Oh yeah, and a mother, like single mothers, you know, I deal with a lot of single moms, and they have a hard time relaxing in their lives, and they're relinquishing their role as head of the household and things like that, in order for their man, you know, to take his rightful place in the home. So there's a lot there.
So
there's a lot
there.
And
usually when you've lived a single life for an extended period of time, what happens is, male or female, but she explained the female side of it, but male or female, you've been doing things on your own.
Yeah.
You make your own decision when you want to do it. You decide where you're going to eat. You decide where you're going to live. You decide where you're going to work. You decide where the kids are going to go to school. You decide when you're going to start that business. You decide what church you're going to. You decide where everything that takes place, you decide that. And so once you get two and they become one, now a husband and a wife, and now they're living together. Now you can't even figure out where you're gonna go eat now.
Yeah.
You know, it's like an issue. Like, no, we ate there last time. No, I don't want my kid to go there.
I don't want that. And then you give them an option. No, I don't want that too. I don't know what I want, but I don't want that. Yeah.
And so most people, it's not a popular conversation, is because they think that's a problem. But one of the things that in marriage I've learned, and I used to see this word as totally negative, but there has to be a healthy compromise.
Oh, yeah.
You know, not compromising like my moral stance, not compromising the principles that I live by, but compromising by what decision I want to make.
Yeah.
What direction we now, it's not me, it's we're going to go.
Yeah.
And I think that when we are headstrong and we've been independent for years, that's a journey.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, because most people, you know, when they have a great idea, if they have something they want to do and they are sold on it, oh my God, they become headstrong, right? I know I can. I totally can. I totally can. And so me and Elena, we had to come together, and we're building this family together, and the two have become a woman. And so the first 2 years were crazy. It's like nitroglycerin, because, you know, I'm headstrong and been leading for quite some time at that time, and you know, 6-7 years, and then Helena, she had been independent and been in a field of education, you know, being a teacher where you know, females are pretty dominant in that career, that job field. And so she comes in strong-headed, you know, and not in a negative way.
Naturally stubborn like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were just like clashing. And so now I just want to make sure that people get this. Comfortably uncomfortable. I want to leave you with this, because I'm a preacher. I want to leave with this.
Yeah, go ahead.
God says in 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 3, he says it through the Apostle Paul. He says, blessed be to God, the God of our Father Jesus Christ, and the God of all comfort. He talks about being the God of comfort.
Yeah.
God is a God of comfort. Mm-hmm. He said he comforts us in all our affliction. So first, we're afflicted. We have an argument. Mm-hmm. I have a misunderstanding. You have a misunderstanding. Mm-hmm. We both go to our respected corners, and and I like to say my corner is the prayer closet, somewhere to get before God and ask God, what is going on? Why am I so confused about this? Why are we clashing? Mm-hmm. Why is this marriage not smooth as I thought it would be?
Right. Yes.
And then I receive comfort from God. Even if I don't get an answer, I receive nothing else but comfort just from being in his presence.
Yeah.
So now he says the God of comfort comforts me. And now with that comfort that God deposited in my heart, in my spirit, I go and comfort someone else when they're afflicted. Mm-hmm. So now this comfort that I'm having in marriage, I'm thinking it's about us. Yeah. I think it's about me, but ultimately it's about someone else.
Yeah.
It's about marriage moments. It's about making sure every moment matters. Now, every moment matters that happens. This discord, this uncomfortable situation. It's comforting. How can we say comfortably uncomfortable? Because we receive comfort from God in this uncomfortable situation. And now we find someone online. We find someone that we run into, this young couple. You find a young lady and you pour comfort into her life. Can you explain a quick time when you've been afflicted and you were comforted by God and you had an opportunity to pour it into someone else's life in our marriage?
Yeah. So, Billy is a very high energy, very,
really?
You're causing me to forget what I'm trying to say.
See?
But he sees stuff like that. and he's a very high energy person. He's a very intense person. And I'm more of a laid back type of person.
Really?
And whenever he wants to talk about, say, something that happened and he has a problem he wants to bring to the table. I'm the type of person, I don't want to talk about it right now. I need to process inwardly. He processes outwardly.
He has a problem like in our marriage.
Yes.
Okay,
any type of problem that we would have. So the problem ultimately became the way we process things. And so I see with all that ooh and on, I forgot what the question was. Do you remember?
Yeah, how do you handle, share an experience that you've had when you receive comfort from affliction in our marriage and you share that?
Yes, so where I've received comfort is that the Holy Spirit helped me to understand that he processes outwardly and I process inwardly. And I didn't know that the first year of our marriage. So I would go full-blown shutdown mode and he'd still be talking and trying to get me to respond. So I began to receive comfort in knowing that it was okay the way that I processed information. It was okay the way that I processed. And then when I did have something to say, the conversations became way more meaningful because I was able to process and he was able to start respecting. I'm not sure how he came to that point, but that's where I received comfort. And so what I did was, that's what I help ladies to understand when they ask me about like their husband. He always wants to talk about the situation right then and there, and I don't want to talk about it. Well, I'm able to understand what's going on because I was able to take a step back and receive an understanding of the fact that, oh, you're just processing information differently.
Yeah, and I think that what happens is a male and a female come together, and obviously, most males process things differently than most females do. I mean, and obviously there's women out there that process things similar to males as well. But, for me, I'm being very logical. I want to solve this problem. We're having an argument. Let's talk about it. Let's ask for forgiveness. Let's move on. Well, she wants to process it. And now she uses that platform as an opportunity to help other people say, okay, it's okay. We're two different individuals.
Yeah.
He's a male, you're a female, and you guys, he's that way. There's no sense of trying to change him. There's no sense of trying to change her. So now you can pour that into someone else. And I'm sure it's afflicting. And obviously somewhere you had to go to the Holy Spirit in order for him to give you comfort, because that's where we get all comfort from.
Say that?
And so it's so important to be able to receive that comfort and be able to share it with someone else. And so once again, we're starting a marriage moment podcast, and you guys are totally invited. We would love for you to rate, review, and share it with anyone that you come in contact with. Yep. We want to give you 20 to 25 minutes of content of us being raw and uncut, who we are. Yep. And so today we talked about comfortably being uncomfortable. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
God bless you.
See you next time.